No, and I'm especially tired today. I woke up at 4 in the morning. I'm laying back, and behind my head, I hear what I think is like dripping in the drywall. And right now, Eric, and everybody who's listening, I am, you could say I'm homeless. I would say is probably,
He really is.
I'm
He
living
really
in
is.
my in-laws' basement while my house is being built. So I guess legally I'm homeless. And so I'm in my in-laws' basement in a bedroom. And I'm hearing what's dripping. I'm like, what the heck? And Laura, my wife, wakes me up. She's like, hey, she's like rolls over. She's like, hey, what is that? You got to check that out. Water's gonna be getting everywhere. So I go outside. It's 4 in the morning. Like looking around, cannot figure out what's happening. And so like all night, I went back to sleep. All day I've been wondering. Finally, my mother-in-law comes home, and she's like, I wonder if it's bugs. Bees in the wall.
Bees in the wall.
Tons of bees in the wall. Yep. And so
That is rough.
right, and I'm glad I didn't get up in there in the night and just get beat out at like 4 in the morning. You don't want that.
Sorry, I just popped in the mic for everybody.
Yeah. So bees. Anyway, but I'm feeling good. I'm excited to talk to you, Eric. Late to the game outdoors. Do you want to tell everybody like what that means? That, by the way, that's his handle on Instagram. Go give him a follow.
Yeah, it's roughly a pun because I'm also a dad and I can't help myself when it comes to puns and bad jokes.
Yep.
But it's really just because I'm an adult onset hunter, so I married into this whole thing, and then it just took over my life like it does for so many of us.
Yeah.
But just always feeling that like I'm behind the curve. Like I'm late showing up to this party and trying to figure it out.
That's Jared's whole life, man. You should have seen him in high school. He would just show up looking around like, I don't know where I am. I'm late to the game.
Yeah, that's how I felt for a long time in the woods. And honestly, how I still feel when I talk to like actual
That's how James still
successful
feels in
hunters.
the woods.
Oh,
For throwing
sick burn.
unreal.
if we're taking shots around here.
I don't like it. I can dish it out, but I cannot take it. No, that's good. No, so you're telling me you had never hunted prior to being married. How long have you even been married?
I've been married 15 years now.
Wow. How old are you? You look young.
I'm about to turn 37. So
Okay,
I got
37.
married at 21. We started early.
Same.
My oldest kid is 12.
Oh wow.
Going on 50.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. 37. Mark's, isn't that how old Mark is? Mark's, I think.
Mark's
like
an old.
37. He's old, but he looks young too. I can never tell.
No, he fits in.
Does
he fits
he?
in well. He doesn't show his age.
He does not. He has less gray hair than me, and he's got more hair than you. So
You
I
know,
feel
I like to think he has just a little bit more wisdom than I do,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to listen to him.
He does. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 37. So you're married 15 years, which means you've been hunting for 15 years. Is that right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that's
When
not
I-
late. That 15 years is a good amount of time.
Yeah, there was a gap in there. So I went on my
Okay.
first hunt with my father-in-law, and then we moved away for a couple of years, and then came back. Like life was crazy, so I probably didn't hunt again for another 4 or 5 years.
Were you
And
married?
then-
Were you married when you hunted with your father-in-law, or is this like a what's the thing in the Marines where you like weed out all at the end? The crucible. Is it like a crucible of sorts?
It could have been. He gifted me the tag for Christmas when I was engaged to his daughter,
Sweet.
but the hunt didn't start till after our wedding.
Okay.
So it was sort of a trial by fire for sure. I'm sure if I treated his daughter poorly in the first few months, he would just kill me and leave me in the woods.
Yeah, that seems about right. What was the hunt? Did you say?
It was archery cow elk here in Arizona.
And you shot one?
I did not.
No. Okay.
I fell asleep and I got snuck up on by a giant bull and 6 cows. And he ripped I was sleeping in my blind. He ripped a bugle 10 yards behind me and scared the crap out of me. Wow. And I turned around to see, like, okay, there's 6 cows. I could shoot any one of them. But I just woke up. I didn't have an arrow knocked. I was facing the wrong direction. Like, everything about it was wrong. They busted me and blew out of there before anything could happen. But
you hate to learn that lesson, but people do. It's not uncommon for that to happen. You know?
When I told my father-in-law, he didn't realize it was something that he had to tell me. Like, he's like, you didn't have an arrow knocked. Like, you didn't say. What do I know?
I gotta cock my arrow? back, you know, like a
Yikes.
gun. You know what I'm
Yikes.
saying? Yeah, no, I had a cousin who had the same thing. His dad bought this hunting land, got him a great spot, and we're in Michigan. And up north, opening day, my uncle is seeing these bucks like walk right toward him, right? And you don't hear anything for a while, you know, and he's like, what? Like, he's got a shot. Wait, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Then bang, 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 bang. I think between 4 and
shots?
6 times missed him. So he was sleeping. The buck walked up and missed him just a ton of times, and for some reason, like, was able to keep ripping
Who
off
was
shots. Johnny L.
Oh, good old John.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of my favorite guys to have in deer
Yes,
camp.
he is. Man, it's like you just.
I might have embellished some of that. I'm pretty sure that's how it went.
So John Allen,
Yeah.
I guess how I would describe him.
He's a good dude.
He's a gentleman.
He's a
right?
gentleman.
He is a gentleman. But if I had to put him as like that deer camp guy,
Yep.
it's the guy
He's
that
more camp guy.
he's more camp guy, and he almost reminds me of a winterizing bear
Oh, yeah.
who hasn't gone and hibernated yet.
Yep. He's good time to have around. Like, you come home, he's there. It's
He's
nice to
there.
have someone back at the cabin after, like, long day in November sitting out, you know, in the snow. And you
He's just keeping the place warm.
Yep, keeping it warm, keeping the fire stoked. Exactly. Yep. No, we have a couple of those guys. We have a couple guys that go out hard, and a couple guys that kind of just hang back, and it works out. You need both.
Yeah. You need both players in a big deer camp.
So you've gone 18 years or 15 years. You said you took time off. You moved away. Where'd you go?
My wife and I moved to St. Louis,
okay.
right after we got married. Took a job, decided to go on an adventure. Learned that, no offense, the Midwest was not for us.
Oh, we're
being
not
a couple
we're
of
not
Western
Midwest.
kids.
We're not Midwest. Michigan is Great Lakes region. It's totally different.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Also,
Just-
I'm a product of Arizona schools. We
Yep.
consistently rank bottom 2 in the country.
Really?
So my geography
What
is
are you
all
ahead
screwed
of
up.
though? What are you ahead? What state are you ahead of?
Texas.
No way.
Probably New Mexico,
New
maybe
Mexico.
sometimes.
I feel like Texas is pretty high, or pretty middling. I would
I
imagine
don't know.
Texas
I've
is
met
around
a few
13.
Texans. I've met a few Texans.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I'm not bold enough to criticize Texas.
I know.
on
I'm
the
not either.
podcast.
That was Jared that said that, not me.
Or maybe because they were just
Crazy.
dumb Marines or dumb Texan Marines.
Yeah,
We always
could
gave
be.
them a lot of shit, so I know a few dumb Texans.
No,
and,
but I can
and
see.
they know who they are.
I can see though moving away, especially moving east to a place like St. Louis. That would be a hard place, especially as an outdoorsman, to move to.
Yeah, and I didn't know my boss my boss's boss
Yeah.
was a hunter, like had some land out in western Missouri,
Yep.
and just kept trying to like, hey, go get your hunter safety, because we actually don't require it for adults out here in Arizona.
Oh, wow, okay.
So he's like, hey, get your hunter safety, come hunting with me.
It's good
'cause he
hunting out
knew-
there. That's good whitetail hunting in Missouri.
That's
Missouri?
what I didn't know what I was newly married,
Yeah.
1,500 miles from home. Like the whole thing, I'm ashamed to admit, I just kind of blew him off.
No, I
And
get it.
We lived there a couple of years and came running back to Phoenix with our tails between our legs.
You were done.
Yeah, it was enough time in
Yeah.
St. Louis for us.
Yeah, I did that with New Jersey. I went there for a while. Came back. I liked it. It just was
It's different.
very different and not enough like open space. Although it was greener than I expected. It was a beautiful state, New Jersey. But again, I just wasn't a New Jersey guy.
But that's
Yeah.
what's fun, though, is like, yeah. I don't even know how to describe it. It's good to have that experience.
Yeah,
you
good
know?
to go
Like-
out and
yeah.
come back. Yeah.
Like, it's good for you.
Yeah. I can appreciate the desert now. Like
Mhm.
brown and dead as it may be, I love it here.
That's funny you say, because I spent some time in the desert. I was in Nevada this year, and I spent some time in New Mexico actually back in October in Arizona. And just the desert is not my. It's the opposite, because we're in Michigan where we are.
Very green.
Everything is
Everything
like a
is green.
jungle.
Yeah.
Like surprising. People usually come from other states and they're like, I'm surprised how jungly it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also so full of water. Like me running my sprinkler all day out of my well, like no one thinks twice about. But like out west, people would be like, you are, that's a lot more valuable resource there.
Oh yeah, no, my backyard is artificial turf. Both for I didn't want to mow it, but also water's expensive out here
Yeah.
because they care about it a lot.
Yeah. So desert hunting. But you moved back, moved away, moved back, and then you've been hunting ever since. How's it gone? Like, have you found success? How long did it take? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, it's been up and down. So
Yeah.
it hasn't been the like up and to the right I was hoping for.
Sure.
Came back and started getting into it.
The meteoric
Went on a couple-
rise.
Yeah, no, that I thought I was there. Like I shot my first buck,
Muley.
mule deer buck.
Yep.
Yeah, and the year after that, I got my first bull elk with my bow, and I kind of thought I was like, okay, this
Yeah.
I figured it out. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then I went on like a 3-year slump.
Yeah.
where it just nothing would work, and I would double down. I'd get out in the field twice as much as the year before.
Yep.
Still just kept things wouldn't align, and then finally like broke that slump, started getting a bit more consistent. I mean, the fall is right around the corner, so we'll see
Yeah.
if I'm about to
I
enter
feel
another
like
slump or if I'm going to keep the momentum.
No way.
What did you do? Did you change up tactics? How did you get yourself out of this,
Dude,
this
he had
rut?
the,
You know?
do you think he had the yips?
Did you have target
It's
panic?
possible.
He had target panic.
I did not have. I made one bad shot. I shot a javelina in the rear ham.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds like
and-
a lot
and
like
that
Sounds
tar-
like
never got
target
him back.
panic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was definitely. It was 45, 50 yards. And the javelina's small, but
Oh, it's-
I shouldn't have missed that bad. It was more opportunities, weren't there? Like I would be there and I wouldn't see anything,
Yep.
and I'm not picky. I'm not a trophy guy. I was
Right.
chasing forkies. I was, and the tags out here are any antlered deer. Like I will chase any
Any
antlered deer.
antlered deer. I can appreciate that.
And then just a lot of, playing the spot and stalk desert game. The number of times I've been busted by a doe at 100 yards I cannot count.
Yeah.
So many times. Just
What-
trying to figure out.
As you're doing that, and you know what? I can first of all relate to this. This is how I like to ask a question. When somebody comes on, I relate to them a little bit, and then I ask the question that I'm going to ask. So me relating would be, I was on a slump as well. Switched to a recurve.
It's too much for me right now.
This is meta, man. I switched to a recurve and I shot one the first year, like you had said. Felt like, oh, that was a 28-yard with my recurve, feeling good. This is, and I was doing, this is great. Switched up kind of how I shot the next 2 years and came up blank, other than like a ton of squirrels and rabbits, right? And so it hurt. But I came back, shot a bear last year, and now I've got big plans for this year. So I feel like you do.
Revitalization?
Oh, man, I feel like it's new life, yeah. But my question for you is, you said you blew a lot of spot and stalks. A spot and stalk is something that we don't do a ton of around here. So as you're doing this, you're learning as you go. Spot and stalk turkey a little bit, yeah. And we'll do it at deer on occasion, just not a lot.
No big game.
No, or just not like, no, we'll do it with deer. We spot and
Yeah,
stalk
we've
on
done
occasion.
it, but
anyways,
It's too thick.
but like, what'd you learn? Like you said, you blew it like on 100 deer. Like what have you learned in 100 or so missed attempts at does and bucks?
Man, the biggest things I learned was like slow down. I'm sure it's what everybody says, but
Yeah.
like if you think on a stalk, like when you get into that like 150 yards or closer, like no matter if you think you're slow enough, you probably need to slow it down by half again.
Sure.
Because I just move too quick or pop up over a rise or I just wasn't like having the patience, or in some cases like put yourself in a spot and then like sit there and let it play out.
Yeah.
Like, I had a big buck coming in and he had probably 15 does with him, but I had such great cover and this drainage, and I moved I got to about 100 yards, and based on the way they were feeding,
Yeah.
in hindsight, if I had just like tucked myself up by this juniper I was in, like, hey,
I
just
just
wait
waited.
here. I had a great wind, like just wait, see what happens.
Yeah.
Probably they would have filtered by and I would have gotten an opportunity, but I just pushed it and tried to make my way up, and does blew and they all took off.
It's tough. That's a lot of eyes.
Oh, it is
That's tough. That's
lot of eyes.
That's a big, and I mean they pick you off so fast out there.
Yeah.
We're guilty of the same thing. We'll push the envelope every single time we're out, which sometimes works great, but sometimes you'll blow something being too aggressive. But I don't know. I guess everybody's got their own style too. Sometimes people go too slow. I've heard people say that too. Before, it's like you have to be decisive, and so on. And some are like, no, just slow down and take your time.
Yeah.
There's a medium.
You got to find your balance.
Yeah, and I think there's so much of a situation by situation.
Yep.
Like it's always different. You never know. I broke the slump by switching up. I tried to stalk these deer, and it was private land out here, just like big flat farmland.
Yeah.
And I tried to like bomb around and catch up to them. I flushed like 6 billion quail, and everybody took off. And I had the next night I could get back out there, and I just thought like, okay, they were coming in on this game trail. Forget the spot and stalk thing. I'm gonna just set up an ambush right on that trail, hope they come in the same way. And it just happened to pan out last light, and I got to send an arrow sub 30 yards, because it wasn't that like I've been in my head before, like I'm gonna make the spot and stalk thing work.
Yeah,
and I think just
it's
being
cool.
willing to like, but to be like, hey, there's a dozen ways to skin this cat. Let's try something different and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Hold on.
interesting.
I got to stop us a second. I'm getting some crazy sound feedback from the computer,
All right. Yeah.
and I just got to quick fix this.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Not to take away from the discussion.
We
but
edit these, so don't worry about it. I'm not hearing it at all.
It's pretty bad.
How are you gonna fix it? Oh, good idea. Yeah, that's interesting. You said you're in what part of Arizona?
The Phoenix area.
Phoenix. Okay. Yeah, lovely over there. It is. It's a good area.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, not right. It's like 108.
I was
today,
gonna
so
say
it's not
right
lovely
now
right
it's
but-
brutal. No, I was
Yeah.
I spent some time in Phoenix and some in like the Scottsdale area
Oh yeah, real nice.
for work and stuff. So it's a good spot.
Yeah. So I'm up in like the northwest part of the valley. So
Okay.
Peoria,
Yep.
technically, but
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Good, cool like land there too. You're welcome back.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think you ever pick it up. It was that way last time.
I'm here. I was
Peter.
hearing something. I'm sorry, but
It
I was-
happens.
you know,
Maybe it's the Duma.
nobody is gonna love that computer hum as they're trying to
I'm sure
listen
they'll
to a
let us
cast.
know.
So I just had to check it. I think we're good. If you still hear it, I apologize. We're in a
Yeah,
garage,
I don't feel
so
that bad
just
about it.
freaking deal with it.
So
Sorry.
Eric, you spent all this time kind of tweaking your system up. Let's talk a little bit about like practice, right? You said your first time you went out, you didn't even know to knock an arrow right at the right time, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm sure that the difference between you and your familiarity with archery then and now is like completely different. How's that changed? What's it look
Oh
like?
yeah. I mean, looking back on what I didn't know, I don't know if I would have let me go out and try to actually shoot an animal.
Yeah.
Like as little as I knew back then. Because my father-in-law just kind of set me up. Like, here's my old bow, and here's some arrows. Go get them. So now for a while, I hit the go to the bow shop, just trust them to hey, what arrows do I need? And, just shoot stuff. I shot mechanicals for a few years just because I knew jack about tuning.
Sure.
And those were more forgiving. And it's fine. I'm not trying to spark that debate. I killed an elk.
Well,
with
I want to
mechanicals.
just say, you're not a mechanical man, and you chose not to before. You chose to use them before, so you didn't have to broadhead tune. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just seemed daunting. And now I've switched over to I'm shooting a heavy fixed two blade this year.
What are you shooting?
Vantage Point Archery. They're based out of Indiana.
Interesting. I'm looking.
just,
I asked because we just posted about this. I'm between broadheads right now I'm looking for a good fixed head for my recurve, like a good 125 super sharp.
Yeah.
Great. So maybe I'll check them out too.
Just pick
Yeah,
one, man. They're probably all pretty sweet.
I know. I just so I'm doing a bear hunt, and what's been on my mind is that bears don't tend to bleed a ton, and
Yeah.
I just and I'm taking the recurve when I could take a compound bow, but I want to shoot it with my recurve, and so I just want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to make it I don't know, so I can find the bear after I shoot it, basically. So I'll check those guys out.
Yeah.
Hey, you say
I've
Vantage
been
Point?
happy. Yeah, Vantage Point Archery. I shot a lighter two blade from them last year.
Yep.
Killed a deer with it,
sweet.
and I switched over to. I wanted to play around with the heavier,
Yep.
stout, elk slayer
The
kind of arrow
Ashby.
this year.
Yep.
You want to shoot some logs?
Yeah. Do you know that Ashby, all those studies and everything? The guy that grizzly stick, heavy FOC, all that. He was the guy that launched that. You're gonna have to check that. I'll get you some reading material.
I'm not a reader. I'm a watcher.
No, that's cool. So so you tell me. So you're tuning your arrows. What else? Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Man, I think just figuring out like once I cross the threshold of like I tend to be a research guy and I can fall into a research hole real quickly. So I was almost afraid to dig into the archery, like the nuance of tuning everything.
Yeah.
But just kind of finally started like tuning your arrows, understanding like all arrow spine, and the first time you like loosen and adjust your rest, you think like I'm never gonna get this back. Like I'm about to break this bow. I'm gonna have to throw it away.
Yeah.
But like playing around with that and figuring out how to tune everything, feel like I'm not fully like I don't have a bow press in my garage. I still have a bow shop I go to, but like
hey, right
the
here.
basics.
No one can see it. That's our shop.
Yeah, we've done the press and we've done all the paper tuning.
Yep.
I've started to take. I'd usually just stick with Dylan and Dustin at long range archery.
Although I would love to have a bow press and just mess around with it.
See, I don't really care about the bow press. What I need is a 4-fletching jig. I would love.
I have one.
You have a 4-fletch one?
Yeah, it's just one dial and you can change it from 3 to 4.
I'm gonna need to borrow that. I shoot off a lot of my feathers.
Now we're talking leverage.
Yeah. Interesting. You just 4?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Oh, baby.
Yep.
All right, that's good news. So you're
awesome.
tuning and stuff.
Yeah, that is a good day for you.
That is, because like I'm like, I've got like an arrow left now. Because everything is, I shoot a part of it off, or it comes off, or whatever.
I'm so arrow rich right now.
Holy cow, he brags.
That I could probably give you half a dozen.
Yeah, but you don't have
and not even hurt.
Oh yeah,
my
like you're
backup.
just saying you could give it away and not even feel.
That's
feel
how
it.
just filthy rich in arrows.
You're a 1%er.
I would
1%.
I would say I might start trading arrows.
Well,
soon
the rest of us
as a currency.
99. Yeah, I might have to do some shopping in your collection to see if anything will work for me. Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
So you're tuning. What about practice? What does practice look like for you? You said you got one in sub 30, which makes it sound like that is not always the case for out west.
No, that is very rarely the case. So yeah, I shoot a 5-pin slider. I've got them set for 30 to 70.
5-pin slider. So for the people who listen who might not know, that's obviously, like you said, 5 pins, but the slider means you can, a lot of times your bottom one, you can adjust based on if you want to go farther than 70 yards, right?
Yeah, which I got purely for practice.
Sure.
Or, the crazy situation where you get a follow-up shot that's beyond 70. Like,
yeah.
Hunting, I never plan to roll. I'm not like, oh, he's at 80. Why don't I take a swing at him?
Yeah.
So I try to keep it 70 and within. But the slider was, my tape goes down to 100 because I'm shooting those big heavy arrows. So I can't drop it much lower than 100 or I'm going to knock fletchings off on my sight.
Yeah, my cousin shot his. I think we've told the story on the podcast before, but he had a Hogfather, and he shot the housing when he drew it back because it kind of lifts your arrow up. And he said it didn't break anything. Like, it messed with the arrow, but the sight was fine, which is a testament to the toughness of those sights.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's crazy. But, yeah, I'm fortunate enough I have, like, state trust land 3 doors down from my house. And so I have this, like, elaborate setup of a couple of wagons and big targets, and I just haul everything out there and practice anywhere from usually on the farther distances, but try to push it out to, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Yep.
Just shooting groups or playing games with myself or with a buddy.
Yeah.
Just to keep it fun, but really trying to like spend a lot of time in those long ranges so that when I come up even to 70, it's like, oh, this feels like a chip shot. Let's go.
Yeah. That's why I've been shooting at 30 yards. So the 10 yards that I'm shooting will feel a little bit easier with,
What a guy.
I know.
Smart strategy.
Target's so big.
It's actually true. With my recurve, I'm like 30, 35 yards max right now.
So you're just shooting at your max?
Yeah, it's not what I don't know. I was gonna ask you about this, Eric, but I'll start it off. Like hunting, it would have to be the perfect situation, and I would need maybe a couple more weeks of practice to feel like 30 yards. I'm deadly with recurve. Like anywhere 25 and in, like that's probably my max effective range, and that depends on if the deer's aware or not, or what is it, a bear, or a deer, or a rabbit, or whatever. With a compound, like I'm probably poking pretty far. But I feel like people like on podcasts and stuff are always nervous about saying how far they'd shoot at a deer because they're like worried about, I don't know, some police coming out of somewhere and saying you're not allowed to do it.
Oh, I'm not worried
For me,
at
it's
all.
like I'll shoot, like if all is right in the world and things are calm, out to probably 65, 70 yards.
With the compound.
With a compound bow.
I was gonna say you can aim
And
high, play the
recurve,
wind on
aim
that
high,
recurve.
play the wind. And I know that there's debate about whether that's ethical or not, but I literally shoot every day. I know most of it. Granted, that's mostly recurve, but I have found that shooting a recurve a ton has actually vastly improved my compound abilities.
I would agree with that.
And so
Interesting.
I don't. Maybe I'm just making stuff up. That's what it seemed like for me.
I agree with that.
Because we shot the other day, and it was the first time I picked up a compound in like 3 years, and I was fine. Like it was.
You're out of video.
I'm back.
No, I would agree with that because with the recurve, there's a lot. I feel like, and maybe it's both sides, and maybe the compound side doesn't get its due amount of discord because so many people don't pay attention to their shot mechanics.
Yeah, compound.
Like they just pull back, let her rip, right?
Oh,
But
there's
Yeah.
crazy bad form.
Oh, it's really bad.
On social media.
But
and
I'm-
I'm some of it. Like my form's not great.
With traditional archery, especially when I was in it just for the brief amount of time, like there is so much more you have to do, I think.
And think about. Otherwise,
about-
your shot's all jacked up.
It's way jacked.
Yeah.
So, yes, I would agree that you're more conscious of those factors that go into your shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which helps you in the compound.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I haven't
That's my
delved
take.
into the trad bow world, but
Yet.
I'm sure it's out there. Yeah, I'm sure the bug will bite me at some point.
I can tell by talking to you. He's gonna end a trad guy. I bet. Just can tell in his eyes.
You might get bit.
No, it'd be hard out by you, and that was something I was gonna say. I mean, you mentioned having some longer shots. In Michigan, like obviously we've talked about this before, but traditional archery has its challenges. It's but at the same time, where we hunt, you're rarely 25 yards over 25-yard shot. It's just where we hunt, it's so thick that
Yeah.
it's
Which
just
there
not a
are
long
people.
shot.
There are people who give very long shots in Michigan. That's not.
Yeah, it's
You know
just
what I
where
mean?
we go. It's
Where we
we're
are.
Swamp,
Our hunting areas.
we're swamp people.
It's usually in the woods.
Basically, yeah. We hang out like you talked to the desert. Like we're basically just like if you're knee deep in muck, we both basically always carry at least hip boots in our packs with us when we go, no matter what.
Wow.
Different.
I don't even have a use for hip boots.
No.
Keep the snakes away.
Have you ever lost a boot to the swamp? Because there's a swamp up in Big Rapids that has like 8 of my left boots and like 15 of my right.
It's
boots.
almost an initiation.
Growing
You
up,
can't
my
hunt
mom
the
would be
swamp
like,
till you lose a boot.
she'd
and
be like, don't, whatever you do what you go hunt, go out, but just don't go in the swamp. Like I just got everything clean from the last time. This is up at our cabin up there. I'm like, okay. And like, I swear I'd black out. 20 minutes later, I'm in the swamp and I'm down a boot. And she would be so mad.
Because you know that just that black,
That-
like a deep black muck.
With the duckweeds
Yep.
or whatever on it. It smells
Oh,
and
man.
you'll go in and the swamp just kind of envelops
Sucks you
your
in.
leg. And so you pull your leg out and it's like, oh,
Your other
boot's
leg goes in
gone.
deeper.
Yeah. And your boot's gone, and it's like the swamp covers it, and it's like
Just like
some like thousands
Gone.
of years from now, some new race from aliens are gonna be coming down. They're gonna be like mining and stuff or whatever they do, and they'll find a bunch of boots, and they'll be like, "What?
boots.
Who was here? What is this? What does it mean?" It was me, the missing link.
Yep. The closest I have to that is like a Colorado elk wallow.
Sure.
That,
Mm-hmm.
it looks pretty solid, and then you put your foot down and you're in mud up to
Yeah,
your knee.
that's about right. It's very
But
similar.
Fortunately, it gave me my boot back, so
Yeah.
I don't. I've never left a boot in the woods that I know of.
Yeah, you really
Angry-
hate to do it.
Angry swamps out there.
Yeah. No, that's funny. So you're practicing that way, and that's actually a good thing to talk about. So like you obviously had a lot to learn, how to practice, how to tune your bow, but like I would also imagine there was a lot that went into figuring out how to work your topography, how to play thermals, how to use draws and hollers if you're from like our friends from down south. What was that process like for you to learn?
Yeah, just figuring out where animals are. Like the process was probably a combination of just going to a lot of places that don't have animals,
Yeah.
like checking them off the list. Like, okay,
Yep.
I spent a day here. I was in
Nothing.
the glass all day. There's a couple coyotes out here. That's all I got. So like the more I checked those off, and then you would find a spot that like, oh, that had some deer, or elk, or whatever you're looking for, and that starts to like, then you start to notice the differences, or you spend enough time watching them, you're like, okay, well, this is what they're feeding on. This is what that looks like from the air.
Yeah.
Where can I find that in other spots, around the state or in different units or whatever? And then some of it was just like asking people.
Sure.
Never being afraid. I know hunting is full of, can be full of, like chest thumping, machismo stuff. You never want to admit like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing.
A lot of that are people just not willing to share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I never asked a guy for like, hey, give me a spot.
Yeah.
But just like,
coordinates.
just reaching out like, hey, what are
Just
I'm
your best
trying to figure this out.
But
Like-
give me a spot. I'd really
Like
like.
a
What am I
honey
missing?
hole
Give me,
would be ideal.
give me a tip. Yes, if you could give me the spot that you've killed something every year, that'd be great.
No, a tip is good though, because like, but like to your point, you don't want to. I mean, first of all, it's not cool to ask for it. But secondly,
Yeah.
Don't be that
you
guy or
want you
gal.
want to like earn it a little bit.
Absolutely.
That's like it. There's something really fulfilling about starting with the topo map, maybe doing scouting. Doing your on the ground scouting in the off season, planning it in your head, going out there and making it happen. It's like, man, I did all the parts. I followed the whole script. I did it. It's like a guy who is a turkey hunter who's like a purist, and it's like I need to call the bird in. Like I'm not stalking up on a bird. I'm not doing any of that. Like the only way I'll shoot one is if I follow all the steps. I feel like there's some like a level of accomplishment to that.
There is. That our mutual friend Josh Kirchner.
Yeah.
He and I became friends because I found him online and reached out, and I was like, hey, I'm trying to learn to bear hunt. I can't figure it out. Haven't seen a bear.
Yeah.
Can I buy you coffee and ask you a bunch of questions? And the more like he's happy to share information.
Josh
but
is a
also,
real
like,
good guy.
Yeah, I like
He's
that.
such a good guy. He actually, the bear I shot this spring, I owe to him 100%. But he was giving me a lot of the like, here's what to look for, not here's the spot.
Yeah.
And I actually like through doing that and looking on maps, I was telling him one day, all excited, like, dude, I found the spot, and everything you were talking about, and these like I had stumbled upon one of his honey holes.
Yep.
Just using like the principles.
Yeah.
And,
He gave
the
you
stuff
too
he
good of
said to look
advice.
for. Yeah, exactly. So he was like, hey, good for you. Please don't tell anybody about that spot.
Keep this between us. That's funny.
Yeah.
Would you ever tell anybody, like, if somebody asked, would you ever give them your honey hole
No,
spot? Do you have a honey hole spot right now?
I'm not telling you.
No, I'm not asking. Right. I don't want your honey hole spot. Like, would you ever do it? Other than your own children, would you ever?
That's a trust thing.
Yeah,
Like
like
you'd have
who
to
would-
earn a
That's
lot of trust.
Yeah.
Like I gotta know
Yeah.
what type of person you are.
Yeah.
I don't know. There becomes a whole lot of work that goes into finding it. Like,
Yeah.
and it's not just something you just tell all the time. I
No.
guess
Yeah.
that's me. Yeah, it just takes a lot of work to do
Yeah,
that.
I
And
mean,
if you start telling everybody, hey, go right here, and you
This
don't
is
shoot a
good
big buck.
spot.
Yeah,
I
Go
mean, that
there.
place
But
is
you
instantly
get-
gone.
Yeah, you tell the guy who's like, oh, cool, and then bring 6 of his buddies with him and just destroy the place.
See, I can actually give this as an example. I won't throw his name under the bus, but we were chatting when we were out camping this past couple weeks ago, right? And we started going over pins, and he's showing me all these little pins in the state forest
Who is
just south of here. I'm not gonna.
Just
I'll
like
tell you
next-
after. No, I'll
okay.
tell you after.
I want to know. Did you
And
get
he's
them
like-
pins?
He's showing me trail cam pictures of these monster bucks, and I hope he's listening right now because I've got them. I know exactly
Yeah.
where to go. I'm not going to because I respect all the work that he's done trying to find this stuff. But it's like, hey man,
But you might
I
share
could
with me, and I
easily
might
go and hunt these bucks.
I might know exactly where
And I
these
know
things
exactly. And then all of a sudden, I'm gonna get a text like, "Oh man, I think someone just shot that buck."
Be like, it's me.
You're like, "Dude, I just shot a buck."
Check out this buck.
Look
It
at
looks a
this.
lot like that one. So but sharing
Pop
with
flare
somebody
on
is
'em.
big, and it's like sometimes there'll be definitely be times where I'll be like, you go here.
Yes.
This is a great spot. I've got a spot to tell
or
you about.
I've seen deer here in these conditions, or try this area because I haven't, and I would love for you to. If it's a spot that I haven't seen yet, but I have it marked out where I want to go find it.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, dude, go try this out. I've scouted it out. I don't know if you're gonna see anything, but
I've got a spot.
it's a spot.
Remember last year where we took a kayaks out for the opener, the rifle opener?
Yes.
back in that cove, back in there, there's a spot. There's a spot. I found a spot.
Did you go back in there?
There's Cedary. Yeah, there's a spot.
I've been in the cedars already.
And
I made that bed. That's my bed.
well,
I'm sleeping there.
what I'll say for us, just a tip for the listeners. When the weather gets really cold, I feel like, and people are able to get into swamps more, because it's frozen over and whatnot by us. Bucks will go, I think, in that real thick, like cedary stuff, and that's why I say back in there, there's a really good spot for late season and for early season. Like the deeper you go, the deeper it is. But all that to say is,
I would agree. Check it out.
It's hard to give up your best spots, but it's cool that you at least used his advice and actually found his best spot.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I felt kind of bad, but then we ended up, since I found it, he's like, oh, well, let's just go hunt it together this year.
I guess we're friends now.
Sweet.
Does this make us best friends?
That's yeah, it might be. We spend. I would never claim to be his best friend, but because that's awkward. Guys don't talk about that sort of level of friendship.
Jared, are you my best friend?
Did you not hear what the man just said?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah,
again.
we can't talk about that. But he and I, we hunt together a lot now.
Yeah.
We're going to Utah in a couple weeks for high country mule deer, and I think I tagged out on a bear this spring, but he's still got a tag, so we're going out in October. I'm just helping him glass and run cameras for him, and
that's sweet.
Spend a surprising amount of time in the backcountry with him, all because a few years ago I was like, hey, for a cup of coffee, could you please give me some advice? You
know what, though? There's wisdom in that, and that was something I was going to bring up. Right? There's forums online that are great. There's Rock Slide and Archery Talk, and there's a bunch. Michigan Sportsman.
Yep.
It's actually not bad. There's also a bunch of guys that are real crabby, but whatever. You get that wherever you go. But there's also some wisdom in, there are tons of people online. Instagram, for all the bad that it brings into the world, helps you deliver great information and connect with people. You can just message somebody out of the blue, and there's a good chance they'll read it and most likely respond, which is cool.
Yeah, absolutely. You can, yes, I agree. There's plenty of evil that comes into the world from social media.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for what it was designed for, connecting people, you find people, you make friends. It can work out.
There are lots of people on social media that I have met that I will regularly send bow tuning videos, because I mess with the tune of my my recurve a lot lately. I've been trying to get it right. Had some issues with it was super finicky last year, where if I had any improper form, it would kick out. So I've had a couple guys. I'm like, hey, how's my flight? How's my form looking? Guys that I've literally never met, probably won't. One guy's in Texas. One guy's Pennsylvania. People I would never meet, but other than the fact that they have social media and are just out there, which is pretty cool.
Are these the same guys that have given you crap in some of the pictures? Are you just trying to mend relations with them? Or
no, these are just random. no.
When really they think you're just trying to be a dick.
Here,
here's
get
my
this
form,
guy.
dude.
Yeah, how
look
like
at it again now.
Yeah, now tell me it's good. No, it's mostly been just guys that will post stuff, and I very clearly guys that know what they're talking about, and I've just been like, hey, I've got a question about a guy that we're gonna just have released this episode maybe 2 weeks ago when this episode comes out, from the push. Tim, I just messaged him out of the blue, and he was great, super helpful. So lots of guys out there, and that's a wise thing to do. And what it does too is shortens your failure time. It gets some of the, you can skip some of those steps that some people had to learn the hard way. You can at least get ahead a little bit.
Yeah, you can check off a bunch of bad spots on the map.
Yeah.
Over a cup of coffee, rather than going to each of those spots to discover that they suck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's cool. So you've you've done a lot. What I've liked about you, and I know you've gotten into writing too, which I want to ask you about in a minute. But you've gone all far ways, and what I've liked about you is that you, there's some humility in it, but some wisdom behind it. Just being willing to ask, being willing to admit where you're at. And I feel like that what that's done for you is you've gone to a proficient hunter. Or at least, a guy who kind of knows what he's doing about a lot quicker than you would have if you wouldn't have asked people and been willing to say that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's just my personality, but I try to like never be afraid to ask a potentially dumb question.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of, kind of the heart behind Late to the Game and the writing and all that stuff is knowing that a lot of guys don't want to admit that. So
Right.
if you're, I know personally plenty of guys who are kind of in my boat, like trying to figure this out later in life,
Yeah.
feel like they'll never figure it out. And there's not a ton of great places to go. There's tons of information out there, but most of it is either from experts or guys who are pretending to be experts.
Yeah, right.
So I try to like bring the side of, hey, I'm screwing this up and I'm gonna put it out there and let everyone know about it.
Yep.
Because that's reality.
Yeah.
And help try to help kind of inspire and motivate guys to like keep getting after it. Or if you've never even tried and it seems too daunting, like I'm 2 steps ahead of you.
Yeah.
But essentially like come along for the journey, basically.
No, and that's kind of been our approach too. Like there are some things we know about that we've done for a long time, or at least that have worked for us. But most of the time, like beauty of podcasts and social media is we just can ask you have access to anybody. It's like the world's biggest, library of people you can talk to. And you just instantly get to talk to them. So, I mean, there's stuff that we'll be working on here soon that we'll be learning as we go, but it'll be really like a good time. We're just talking like waterfowl, right? We've never been waterfowl hunting. I know nothing about it, which is ridiculous given like where we live and kind of the circles we run in. We just haven't ever done it, which was going to be awesome. But we're going to be doing some like stuff like that this year, which will be fun and get to, chronicle what we learned. But speaking of that chronicle segue, writing.
Yeah.
Is it how long have you done this? This has been something I'm excited to ask you about. When did you get into it? Like that's a big step.
Yeah, I'm actually like professionally I was a writer outside of the hunting space. So wrote a lot of it's a whole different story, but wrote a lot of like kind of curriculum
Instructional
written
designer
and verbal message kind of stuff.
Okay.
My career is mostly in like the church world, actually. But in a very like specific niche of that with the content creation and writing and everything. So I felt like I had that in my back pocket,
Interesting.
but wanted to, apply that in this other completely different space that I'm incredibly passionate about. So just kind of started, like most people do, started my own blog and own site and everything. And then as time moved on, started, building some relationships, writing articles for other companies and getting the photography side in.
Yeah.
And along with the writing, I had a lot of video production background. So, cranked up the YouTube world and the hunting films and the gear and how-to stuff. And essentially took this like career I had built learning these skills and thought, okay, how can I, how on the side can I just push this into the hunting world?
Yeah. No, I like that, and it's definitely like you can tell your writing style is very readable, and not everybody's that are writing in the hunting world are like wordsmiths. You know what I'm saying? So it was good to see, and even your editing and some of your video stuff's great. That's been fun to watch. So has that helped you learn? Because the reason I ask is we'll do blogs, we'll put blogs out and things, and as I'm preparing to write about squirrel hunting in the winter, for example, or whatever, like I'm forced to write down all the things that I know, put them in some sort of logical order, and then try to fill in the gaps where it's like, oh, these are some things that I've never thought about. I got to talk about that. And then by the time I'm done writing an article, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, like I feel like now I got it like down, like it's organized in my mind. Have you found that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it forces you to, you sketch out your outline. Here's what I know.
Yeah.
And then inevitably there's a couple questions that pop up. You're like, oh, I don't know if I've ever thought about that.
Yeah.
Like, I should figure that out or ask somebody or, research that. Whether it makes it in the article or not, I feel like as you approach that and you go to write about something, you want to make sure you're not just like making it up or winging it. Like, okay, I
well,
have
it brings
pretty
it all
good
together.
confidence.
Like that was for me in school. That was the biggest thing. If I were learning random facts, I could not. Once I had a system of thinking, so like how all things work together, and kind of a whole view of it, then it was easy for me to pull everything in and kind of put it in its right place. Otherwise,
you needed structure.
Yeah, structure, and that's big. That's big for me.
Mm-hmm. So wait, time out. So you can't just learn like random facts?
I not very well. Like I
That
kept-
I eat up random facts.
I can't memorize things very well. I think I was either dropped when I was born, something like that. And I don't know. I mean I can. I've had to do it, but not that well. Definitely wasn't a good student until I figured out how to do that.
No, I would agree with that because I think that's why, and I've heard this before in the past, where if you wanna learn something, teach something,
Right.
teach somebody about it.
Yep.
It forces you to learn. It forces you to be the expert on it.
And to tell a story, like to almost craft it into a story that you tell somebody else. That's why,
Correct.
like when I would study, I would put my notes out and I would call somebody up, like my girlfriend at the time and now my wife, and just tell her the story of whatever my exam was on, and that was usually when I did the best. And it was, I think that's why I say when you write about it, it kind of brings it all together and it puts it into the right context.
Right, you're spewing out knowledge that people are going to be reading. You don't want to sound like
Like this guy doesn't
like
know
an
what he's talking
idiot.
about.
You know, you want to be educated enough. You want to know
Yeah.
what's going on, and like I said, you want to be able to teach it. So you got to educate.
How was the book? What's the title of your book?
It's How to Hunt, a total beginner's guide to hunting big game.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. How long
Try
did
to
it take to write?
So it was like if I go by the amount of time where I finally sat down and was like, I'm finally doing this, I'm writing it. It was honestly like from the first keystroke to published was probably a month.
What?
But that being said, before that,
Must be
I
nice.
like most content creators, I have like the note on my phone that's just constant ideas and
Yeah.
stuff that I'm filling in. So I had sort of like the outline and the structure for it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it was just finally like, you know what,
Filling
I'm
it in.
gonna grind and just put in the time. And I mean, that was a month of I was working at least 20 hours a week on it.
Well,
So
you know
it
what
was
though?
like a separate job.
But that's a thing, and my dad has said this
Good for
before.
you, man. That's a grind.
When you've done something for a while, you get to be fast at it, right? My dad's a pastor, and so
Oh, awesome.
like he'll say he's preached for a long time, so he's written a lot of sermons. Now it takes him like no time to write it, and so when I always like ask him like, hey Dad, how long did that take you to write? I was terrible, and he's like, no, it took me all week. But it took me 30 minutes of actually writing it down. It was all week of thinking about and letting it kind of ruminate in my head and writing notes. But when I finally was writing my sermon down, it takes him like no time at all now.
Yeah.
If he even has he just has a rough outline now. It's very different than when he
As
started.
long as you have a structure, man,
Yeah.
I feel like you can.
It's
That's
funny.
why they always teach you to build
That's
the
right.
head, body, conclusion.
This guy.
That's the
Yeah.
hardest part. And then once you have that, it's just making the words flow.
Yeah. What's the hardest part? What was the hardest part of that book?
The
cover.
hardest part was trying to approach it. So, like, I really wanted to help people who I talked to so many guys who were just like, it sounds awesome. It's too much money. I've never hunted. I couldn't do it.
Right.
And so trying to be like, no, it's actually, I mean, it's not simple, but it's relatively simple. Like you should try, but approaching that from wherever they live across the country.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to write just a Western hunting book. I didn't want to write
that.
just a whitetail book. And so having that split in mind and having through various topics to be like, hey, if you're out in this part of the country, here's what you need to look for. But if you're out here, here's what you should look for. And, I called up some friends who are out your way who really know what they're talking about and had just this list
Unlike
of,
us.
I didn't know you at the
Another
time.
good-
And you wouldn't be wrong. Yeah.
But just trying to confirm that stuff, like, hey,
Yep.
this is my understanding based on a bunch of research, but you live there, you do this,
Yeah.
tell me where I'm wrong or what I'm missing. But just really writing to both audiences because I figured, if you're a guy in Pennsylvania who wants to try hunting,
Yeah.
your first step is not going to be, I'm buying a Colorado elk tag and I'm heading out to go do
Right.
that.
Yeah, I'm going
so
going
really
to
trying
Alaska.
write for both those.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's interesting. So now I'm guessing, you started to get good at it. You're starting to do these Western hunts. Sounds like some mule deer, elk, and some bear. Are you looking to add anything new? Are you expanding the game ever?
Oh, I like the turn of phrase. Well done.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Always, I have a list on my, I forget, Trello or whatever I use.
Yep.
But I have a list in there of hunts I want to do that are, some of them are tied with films or unique projects. Some are just, here's something I want to do.
Yeah.
Josh and I were talking as we both are staring down the barrel of 40. that if we haven't gone, neither of us have gone to Alaska. So if we haven't done Alaska by 40, we want that to be like
We were just
40th
talking about going to
birthday
Alaska.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what that is, caribou. We haven't even decided on a species really. Just get up there and experience Alaska.
The tundra.
I don't know why, but moose just captivates me. I don't even have a strategy for, like, I haven't picked a state. I'm not building points yet.
Yep.
But I'm going to figure that out. Like,
hope-
that's
I hope no one just saw that very.
that
we
look
both-
Jared and I
we
just
just
gave
were
each
like-
other. Well, we're talking. We're talking about we're planning
Moose.
next year's hunts. Talking about moose. I've been looking heavily into doing a moose hunt. Just because, like you said, I don't know. There's the next thing up on the list that bears for a while and actually still do are very exciting and just I don't know. I just got very into that. But moose is starting to be one of those things that'd be like, man, just to get out into the moose hunting would be sweet. That basically
yes,
that's
it would.
And so it's interesting you say. I was looking at Newfoundland.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I said, I've got no points built up or anything, but I know you can do over the counter there, and I don't know. So all that being said is moose sounds awesome, and I'm in for that.
Yeah. That is, that's on the list. Then I get weird ideas for like unique hunt. Like I've got this. I'm close to drawing an Arizona kaibab tag.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm storing up all my deer points for that. After I draw that and do that hunt, I want to do like a cowboy deer hunt with like a lever action 30-30 and like a canvas wall tent. I'm not a horse guy, so I want to have horses, but like just sort of that like intentionally old school primitive kind of thing.
I hunt with every year a lever action 30-30.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
different by us. We don't have long shots, so it's kind of handy. It's a nice short gun,
brush gun.
exactly.
good brush gun. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, we have them out here, but no one uses them for hunting because we're taking multiple 100-yard shots usually. But yeah, just like unique things like that where I make it weird or different. I want to do like a hunt for as cheaply as possible. So leave all of my nice gear. And like if I started from scratch, how cheaply could I pull together the gear I needed?
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
it's
watch
fun
that.
and miserable at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'd
You'd
realize
be
real
cold
quickly.
and uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, this pack sucks or,
Yeah,
these
all
boots
cotton.
are terrible or
These
whatever.
are all cotton clothes. Man, they just soak up sweat, don't they?
That would make a very interesting video.
You'd watch that?
That'd be a great topic.
We support it.
We support. Where are you? Do you release things like that? Do you have an outlet?
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is probably one of my main focuses when it comes to
Drop the
content.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's Late to the Game Outdoors. So if you search it on YouTube, it should pop up. But yeah, it's a combination of a kind of a steady diet of like here's a gear or a how-to thing.
Yep.
And then as I know a lot of guys are moving to like the build up a season of hunts and release them week by week. Mm-hmm. I get too excited. So every time I finish a hunt, I put the film together and send it out.
I can appreciate that. As a guy who wants to watch hunts constantly, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
Till
Yeah,
the
that is
off-season.
no. I pretty much I get back from the hunt and immediately start pouring through footage because I just can't wait to put the thing together and get it out there.
I can
That's
appreciate
awesome.
that. Well, hey,
I'm gonna be paying attention to it.
Yeah, people should follow Eric. This is like I said, I've been enjoying your book and the things you've been putting out. You are definitely a good guy to talk to, and we're thankful that you came on. But for people who didn't catch maybe the beginning or whatever else, how can they find you on social media, and how can they get in touch?
Yeah, pretty much everything is under Late to the Game Outdoors. Mm-hmm. So latetothegameoutdoors.com is my website. Everything links from there. Or if you Instagram is at Late to the Game Outdoors. It's it's the social media where I'm most active. And YouTube, Late to the Game Outdoors,
Awesome.
trying to drop content every week. Sometimes you get a little behind, but for the most part, something goes out every week. I've got a podcast called Hunting Stories.
Mm-hmm. Hunting stories, I like it.
Yeah, I spell it out, but I always pronounce it Hunting Stories.
That's how we say it too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just like kind of my own spin, like it's either me or just interviewing guests, but like, hey, just tell me a good hunting story.
Yep.
And maybe we'll draw a couple nuggets out of it, but it's kind of short, sweet, to the point. Like, here's a hunting story for your entertainment.
That's some of my favorite.
Awesome.
That's some of my favorite stuff. Is just a good hunting story.
Yeah.
You learn a
That's
lot.
what I thought.
You're entertained. You're moved. You laugh. You cry. You're moved. You learn a few things.
That's
Good, clean fun.
Yep.
And I thought, in my lane, like I'm not the expert hunter. Like I'm still learning a lot.
Yeah.
but I can tell a story or get someone else to tell a story. So, I'll try. There's a plenty of people who are experts who are sharing tons of information on podcasts. I figured I'll just take this different angle and see what happens.
Yep.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, man, hey, thank you again for coming on. People, go check him out. Eric, thanks.
Guys, thank you. Appreciate it.